Hello and welcome to Newsfeed, your daily dose of what people are talking about online, from news stories to what's trending. The U.S. ended the weekend with two deadly mass shootings, one at a crowded park in Kentucky, and just 2 hours later, a Sweet 16 birthday party turned into a nightmare in Alabama. The festivities quickly went south on Saturday as shots rang out, leaving 4 teens dead and almost 30 others injured in Dadeville. The bloodshed has prompted local leaders to call for tighter gun control. President Joe Biden called the rising gun violence outrageous and unacceptable, and called for laws to make gun makers more liable for such shootings. There is no official consensus on what constitutes a mass shooting in the U.S., but the nonprofit research database Gun Violence Archive defines it as an incident in which 4 or more people are injured or killed. And it's just released some shocking numbers about mass shootings across the U.S. Brace yourselves, because it's not looking good. In just the first 15 weeks of 2023, the U.S. has already had over 160 mass shootings. That's an average of more than 1 per day. And if that's not alarming enough, the past 3 years have each seen over 600 mass shootings. Yes, you heard that correctly. That's an average of almost 2 per day. But the toll on families, communities, and the nation as a whole is immeasurable.
Why do you think Americans love guns so much?
I think it's something like deeply ingrained in the culture. Guns have been around for a long, long time in the US. Like in the UK, it's not so much of an issue because it's very underground, whereas in America, it's normalized. You can walk into a Walmart and buy a gun.
And a pack of Skittles and some ice cream.
Yeah,
and be right back out the door.
From an outsider's perspective, I think they're also really proud of their military and everything.
Probably the Constitution, and just because they're crazy.
Damn, you just hit us right out the gate. What is America's reputation in the world?
Probably mass shootings, as bad as it sounds.
That's all we known for?
A poll by CBS News shows that among all the social pressures felt by students, for example, bullying and academic expectations, parents and their kids are growing increasingly anxious about the looming threat of gun violence. And almost half of Americans hold the belief that guns pose a greater danger to the country than the ability to keep the country safe. But a staggering 3 out of 4 people firmly believe that preventing gun tragedies is entirely possible and not simply an inevitable consequence of living in a free society. But did you hear about what happened at the National Rifle Association's forum that took place just a day before the tragic shooting in Alabama? Well, there's been outrage on social media after Republican Governor Kristi Noem made some unexpected remarks about her grandchild. Let's just say her speech went viral, and a lot of people weren't happy about it.
Little Miss Addie, who is almost 2, and Branch, who's just a few months old, they have brought us so much joy. They brought us purpose. Now Addie, who, soon will need them, I want to reassure you, she already has a shotgun and she already has a rifle. And she's got a little pony named Sparkles too, so the girl is set up.
That's so shocking. Well, gun violence has also rocked the Indian state of Uttar Pradesh, where a notorious gangster turned politician has been killed in a brazen shooting. Atiq Ahmed's murder was broadcast on live TV. Reporters were asking the former MP questions when 3 men posing as journalists opened fire.
आज जनाजे में आप लोग नहीं गए थे, क्या कहना आप कुछ कहना चाहिए? वो हम दे देंगे तुमको। मेन बात ये है कि
इसी में प्राथमिक जानकारी
3 men posed as journalists and opened fire. The 3 suspects have been arrested and are being interrogated. Atiq Ahmed and his brother Ashraf died in the shooting.
The 3 gunmen yelled Hindu nationalist slogans as they opened fire. The shooting occurred as police were bringing Atiq Ahmed and his brother, former state legislator Ashraf Ahmed, to the hospital for a medical checkup. Atiq has been serving a life sentence from 2019 for orchestrating a kidnapping. His brother Ashraf was also in police custody, having been linked to the murder of a lawyer. The brothers and their wider family were notorious gangsters in Uttar Pradesh, accused of running a murderous crime syndicate. Former MP Atiq had more than 100 different criminal cases filed against him, including assault and murder. His death comes just days after his son, who had also been accused of murder, was killed in a police shootout. Opposition parties have criticized the deaths as a major security lapse in the state governed by Hindu Nationalist Party, the BJP. Just last month, India's Supreme Court rejected Atiq's petition in which he alleged there was a threat to his life from the police. In 2019, a UN report raised alarms about alleged police killings in Uttar Pradesh. In the past 6 years, more than 180 people facing charges have been linked in so-called police encounters in the state, something rights groups say are often extrajudicial killings. Uttar Pradesh's Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath is one of the most hardline Hindu nationalist figures in the BJP. Since he came to power in 2017, so-called police encounters have spiked, and he often publicly threatens to disregard the rule of law to crack down on crime in the state. Speaking of crime in Russia, drug traffickers are getting even more creative in their illicit activities. A mother aroused the suspicion of police, but upon stopping her, their checks revealed her baby wasn't a baby at all. Police in the city of Nizhny Tagil discovered the bundle the woman was carrying was actually a cat disguised as a baby. The feline even had on baby clothes and diapers along with 5 packs of powdered drugs. The woman, who was walking in a suburban neighborhood, was then promptly arrested. An inspection of her apartment later found more drugs.
The alleged drug dealer was caught red-handed near a holiday village on the city's outskirts. To avoid suspicion, she assumed the appearance of a mother walking with a young daughter and a baby.
Investigators said the woman got the drugs from a dead drop after receiving instructions from her anonymous hirer online. She was instructed to distribute the drugs to end users via dead drops. She managed to make 12 deliveries before being caught by police. She now faces up to 15 years behind bars. It's been nearly 6 months since we were introduced to the genius of ChatGPT, and now many of us use the AI chatbot daily. Whether it's indie developers using GPT-4's API on their apps, or big shots like Microsoft integrating it into all its productivity tools, many firms are trying to adapt the AI tool to their mobile products. This begs the question, how much data do these chatbots have on us, and what can they do with it?
ChatGPT is awesome, but there are some security risks that you need to be aware of. All of your inputs are stored by OpenAI, and the conversations you have with ChatGPT are viewed by the OpenAI staff to help train and further develop this program. Yes, you can delete your conversations, but not specific prompts. So don't share any sensitive information when asking ChatGPT questions. Remember that ChatGPT is still in early development, and it will get better. But to do that, it needs to go through this process of collecting user input and having the answers ChatGPT gives analyzed by human staff to better train the program. If you're wanting to use ChatGPT to help out with work right now, there may be some general cases where you can keep the questions general and non-specific, but anything beyond that may pose security risks to you and your organization.
Okay, OpenAI probably has bigger plans than collecting and using your data to identify you. That's a bit more up Meta's alley, but still, a chatbot randomly spewing out your information to answer a prompt is a valid threat. Incidentally, this is exactly what happened last month when a bug caused other people's conversations to show up on different users' apps. And then there were incidents of AI making things up about real people. In Jason's case here, it added a few more companies to his CV. And for this professor, it cited articles he never wrote. Now, I've heard about people bludgeoning their CVs, but wow. And the hallucination was a bit extreme for Andrew here. The chatbot claimed he went to prison on assault charges in 1995, something that never happened. Now, that's probably a bigger worry for people with a lot of stuff or content online. Take controversial podcaster Joe Rogan, for example. AI created a podcast of him with OpenAI CEO Sam Altman. And no, I'm not talking about those clearly meme conversations of him with other celebs on Discord. This is a whole episode of AI voicing what sounds like real opinions in his voice. Yup, it may sound exactly like him, but just to be clear, this is not Joe Rogan.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the very first episode of the Joe Rogan AI Experience. I'm your host, Joe Rogan, or at least that's what this AI model thinks I sound like. Let me tell you folks, this is some next level stuff we've got going on here today. Every single word of this podcast has been generated with the help of ChatGPT, the cutting-edge AI language model developed by OpenAI. I am not the real Joe Rogan. Let me repeat it once more. I am not Joe Rogan, and the guests are not the people they portray. This is purely fiction, just for fun, so don't go around making little clips for your TikToks and make the world believe I said things I never said.
Uncanny, right? And Rogan was not a fan of the AI mimicry. Like many, he also thinks this AI slope we're on is about to get very slippery. Okay, AI these days is not only breaking the internet, but also the art world. Now here's the million-dollar question. Can AI-generated or assisted designs actually be considered art? Well, one celebrated Turkish-American artist certainly thinks so. And if you look at his work, you too may be convinced. Lara reports.
Algorithms and AI have helped breathe life into Refik Anadol's art. This immersive experience at a Los Angeles gallery is aptly named Living Paintings. The interesting part? Despite being heavily tech-driven, the Turkish artist's creations feel natural and organic. Anadol's masterpieces use AI to interpret Californian landscapes, turning data sets into poetry. Pacific Ocean showcases high-frequency radar data images of the ocean, while The Winds of LA was created from wind data collected from weather sensors. The signature piece is undoubtedly Coral Dreams, where one can dreamily lose track of time.
Behind me now, we are watching these corals that are not real but looks very real. In this project, specifically AI trained on 100 million coral images. And unfortunately, the current climate change is damaging all the corals. But the question is, can we use AI to preserve our memories?
For Anadol, art is not just about the aesthetics, but also about enhancing the human mind. After losing his uncle to Alzheimer's disease, he dedicated his time to bringing a new, deeper dimension to art, and to create these hypnotizing digital memories. Anadol and his team spend months curating the data they use.
The work is using generative AI, and it's using a custom algorithm that I've been developing last 10 years. Since I coined the term data painting, I'm trying to create artworks with machine learning algorithms, specifically AI.
To ensure that there are no privacy or copyright issues, the algorithm scrubs all human elements from images it uses. So, it'll get rid of human faces, people's names, and even reference artwork created by people.
I always heard this concerns about is it like human art, is it AI art, digital art? I think this is a very common problem for anyone pushing the boundaries of imagination, anyone pushing for breakthroughs and pioneership with these new tools.
It's the perfect collaboration of human and machine, with Anadol being in control of the narrative and final pieces, and AI being used as a thinking brush.
All right, on to what's trending. Well, I guess I really have to be worried about my job now. Meet Feda. She's a Kuwaiti news outlet's newest presenter, and if you think she looks a little bit robotic, well, that's because she's 100% virtual, generated using AI. Feda is part of Kuwait News' digital push, and soon she'll be presenting online bulletins for the outlet. And I'm not the only one who should be worried about AI taking my job. Look out, Blackpink, K-pop, as a new girl group in town.
We have to go back. 흐릿해진 feeling 속에 유일한 열쇠. Everyone is heartless, but so we are fearless. 아무것도 막지 못해, never been so careless.
This is Mave. At first glance, they look just like any other K-pop band. But Mave only exists in the virtual world. The band lives in the metaverse and was created by web designers and AI. And the girl group is already making waves in the real world. Its first music video dropped in January, and it's racked up 20 million views on YouTube. Wonderful ever see them in concert. And that's our show. Find us on YouTube and do subscribe to our channel. See you soon.